Hey y'all, welcome to day 10 of my vlog where I share my thoughts, ideas, and my journey in life with you guys. It's Monday. I hope everybody's having a great Monday. Please check out my motivational Monday video. I always post every Monday to get your week started, give you guys some juice to start off your week. But for today's video, I wanted to make a video to respond to a lot of comments a lot of people made, especially to my special project I just started 2 weeks ago called Poly Stories. It's a special segment that's included with my Gava Club podcast. As you guys know, if you don't know yet, please check out my podcast. It's called the Gava Club podcast. It's a podcast I just started to talk about for a place. It's a place where I just want everybody to come in to share their thoughts, ideas, and be able to fully express themselves to create dialogue to a lot of the issues that we face in society, especially within the Polynesian culture. But I also started the Poly Stories special segment, special project because, and the whole purpose of that is for me to be able to interview as many Polynesians as I can, and I want them to be able to share their story and share how they grew up and the different experiences that they went through in their own life growing up as a Polynesian. And the reason why I started that because my ultimate goal at the end of the day with everything I do, with the Gava Club podcast, with the Poly Stories, and also my mission in life and purpose, my mission in life and purpose I'm trying to achieve for myself. Because at the end of the day, my ultimate goal in life is to one day become a life coach. I want to be able to travel the world to inspire, help, and encourage people to be their best, to change their life, to make an impact on their life. Because I know a lot of people out there are suffering and need help. But I also, that's my general mission for the world. But my specific mission for myself, my special mission for myself that I carry to my heart is I want to uplift my Polynesian community, especially my fellow Polynesians and my fellow Pacific Islanders, because I really believe that because number one, I'm a Pacific Islander, I'm Polynesian, I'm Tongan, I grew up Tongan, and I have my own experience of what I saw with a lot of things that I saw with my family, my friends. I saw so many Polynesians suffer, not only mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, and the thing is, I saw so many of my peers and my friends and my family suffer. I was trying to figure out what's the best way for me to be able to uplift everybody, for people to be able to, figure out their own struggles within their own life. And I realized is that for me, in my opinion, the only way we can overcome the things that we go through as Polynesians, that's within our culture, a lot of people don't know about outside of being Polynesian. It's because within our culture, we don't really, we're not a really expressive type of culture. We're very traditional. We like to stay to what we know. We're deeply rooted in belief in Christianity, in God, in faith, that we kind of just let things we kind of just let things for our faith to figure out. We just leave everything to God, which is a good thing. But a lot of times these issues like mental health, insecurity, fears, lack of self-worth, depression, all these things that a lot of people suffer for, emotional, broken relationships at home with your parents, physical abuse, marital problems, all these things I see, especially with kids, with the family, with spouses. I see all these problems, and I realize that a lot of these problems in the Polynesia, we kind of just like we don't really talk about those things. We kind of just like leave it up to faith, or leave it up to God, or leave it up to we'll figure it out on the we'll figure it out as we live our life, and we'll figure it out along the way. But the thing is, when you don't have solutions to the problems we have in our community, we don't provide solutions to the things that we go through when we see that's happening within our families. That's why these problems uh, continue to cycle from generation to generation, from family to family, from relationship to relationship. And and this is why I started this. This is why I'm doing what I'm doing, and this is why I'm trying to figure out a way to be able to make a change within our culture. And I know that's harder said than done because it's really hard to change a traditional based, fairly family oriented, especially a culture that really likes to keep to themselves and to stay to their comfort zone, to their old morals and beliefs and values and principles that they've known from since the beginning of the islands in Tonga. So all the islands, the Pacific Islands and the Polynesian Islands. So And so that's why I started the Poly series, because I really believe that the only way we can overcome these problems that we face within our own culture is we have to start a dialogue, right? We have to start a dialogue and talk about these things so we can be able, number one, bring awareness that these problems, number one, these problems do happen. And number two, it's a way for us to come together and find a solution, all right? And that's why I started the Poly stories, because I want to interview as many people as I can, as many Polynesians as I can, so people can have a, number one, have a voice to share the problems they go through, right? So that way people can start hearing like all these different type of Polynesians. They all come from different places, but they're all saying the same message. And one of the biggest comments that a lot of people are leaving on my, the biggest comments was I saw that somebody wrote, hey, because the first person I interviewed was Monica Pahulu, and somebody wrote, hey, that's not the Tongan culture. That's not what the culture is, right? And my response to that is no. That's not the culture. That's not the culture that you grew up in. That's not the household you grew up in, right? And Monica Pahulu, she is, number one, she's Tongan, and number one, she was raised by Tongans from Tonga, right? So she grew up with the culture, right? But the thing is, she grew up, but the thing is, even though we're all Tongans and we all come from the same culture, but everybody grows up in a different manner, in a different way, right? Just because you grew up in a different way doesn't necessarily mean everybody grew up in the same situation with the same parents, with the same household, with the same rules and regulations, with the same things that were taught to you. Everybody grew up differently, right? As far as like the general Polynesian ways and tradition cultures that we have, as far as family, being family oriented, that's probably like the same for every. But as far as this, how these values and things, how we treat each other, how we respect each other, how we raise each other, how we uplift each other, how we deal with different with mental health, how we deal with health issues, how we deal with relationships, how we teach our kids to be great husbands, to be daughters, to be great husbands and great wives, how to treat our sons, to treat girls, how we treat our girls to treat guys. That all comes from the parent. It all comes from the person that's raising these kids, and that's raising you as a child in Polynesian households, right? And the family and the environment, right? Don't forget, your environment plays a big part to the quality of to who you become in life. So that's why I'm starting this poly series, because, and also somebody said, I forgot what was the other question. So somebody said that's not the Tongan culture, that's not how Tongans are. But the thing is, and I think that's the biggest one. So that's why I wanted to make this video, to understand, for kind of respond to everybody out there that's having these comments, right? They're saying, hey, uh, that's not our culture. Our culture is better than that, right? And also, I want to respond to everybody to understand that you have to understand that a lot of people that's kind of like being that's being really defensive, they have this perception, this notion that our Tongan culture or our Polynesian culture is perfect. You have to understand, just like human beings, that we're not perfect, right? Cultures, like every culture in this planet, whether it's Polynesian culture, whether it's Asian culture, whether it's African American culture, whether it's American Indian culture, whatever it is, Hispanic culture, every culture is not perfect. A lot of we have this assumption that we grow all these Tongans I talk to, they have this assumption that our culture is perfect. If our culture was perfect, then why are there so many sexual abuse cases within the culture that I see within my own community? Why are there so many husbands beating their wives? Right? Why there's so much physical abuse? Why there's so much suicides? Right? If you guys look at the statistics in New Zealand, there's so, like, I think the highest per capita per suicide. Or I was reading a survey. I think between teenagers in the whole world was with New Zealand. New Zealand has the highest case of teenage suicides compared to everywhere else in the world, and that comes from Polynesians, right? Mental health, physical health, people dying from an early age, people as far as joining gang, like there's so many issues, social issues and family issues that I see within our own community and culture that's happening. But like people are just acting like these things don't exist. Like our culture is perfect, right? And like I said, just because and also like a lot of people trying to paint the picture that I'm trying to bring down the culture. I'm not trying to bring down the culture. I'm Polynesian. I'm Tongan. I grew up Tongan, and I love my culture and I love how I was raised because how I was raised in the islands. I grew up in Tonga. It made me the person who I am today. But what I'm saying is, we have. I'm trying to, like I said, all the problems I see within people within my own community that people want to just brush under the rug. That's what I'm trying to figure out to fix, right? And the thing is, we can't fix these issues if we are not comfortable enough to talk about it. I don't know, I know if it's like when you the AA meetings, right, where people have uh, alcohol abuse. Alcohol abuse, they have this thing with like the first rule of to break your addiction is to number one acknowledge that you have an addiction, right? The only way we can bring change within our own community, within the world, like we have to acknowledge that there is a problem, right? So that's why I'm starting this the poly stories, because I know it's very hard for people to talk about these things, right? It's very hard for people to express themselves, to speak out on these things. It's very hard for people to come up with solutions, right? So that's why I'm starting this poly stories, because I'm just going to interview like everybody out there that doesn't want to say anything, that what pretends like nothing's going on, that he's just trying to throw all these issues under the rug. But the matter of the fact is, there's a lot of Polynesian kids out there that are suffering and they're looking for help, and they are not comfortable enough to, they grew up in a household where uh, they're not, that expressing themselves of how they feel, what they think is frowned upon, is looked down upon, right? It's seen as something that's as stupid, right? As something that's seen as weak, right? So they're not able to express themselves, so they hold this pain in, hold this anger in, and what happens if you kind of understand human behavior and social and in the psychology of people, when people feel like they can't be heard, when people feel like they can't voice their opinion, like they can't express who they are, they can't talk about their own pain and struggles in their life. When people feel like that, what do? They sabotage their life, they sabotage themselves, and they hurt themselves to gain attention, because at the end of the day, as people, we just want to be loved, we just want to be appreciated. So as Polynesians, as a culture, if we don't bring awareness to the problems that our fellow Polynesians are going through, are suffering through, with mental health, with their relationships, with their marriage, with abuse, sexual abuse, with whatever problem they have, they're just suffering within their own family, within their own culture, within their own community. If we don't acknowledge these issues, if we don't acknowledge their pain, if we don't let them allow to express themselves, what people always do is they hurt themselves to sabotage themselves so they can gain attention, right? They gain attention from other people, but that's not a way to communicate. People shouldn't have to hurt themselves, shouldn't have to suffer for people to finally wake up. Wow, like there's something really bad going on. We need to change it. But by then it's already too late, right? Because the worst case scenario to that situation, when somebody holds their pain in and they keep harming themselves, the worst case scenario is they hurt themselves to the point that like let's say they commit suicide, or they die, or they put themselves in a situation where they lose their life, just because they felt like that nobody was there for them, because then they felt like nobody was there to understand them, and they just wanted to voice out and express themselves. Hey, I'm going through something. I'm suffering right now. I just need some help. I'm looking for answers. But because they grew up in an environment, in a culture, in a situation, in a neighborhood, in a family that didn't provide that to them, that's why they did what they did. And like I said, I've just seen it too many times within my family, with my culture, friends that I know personally. I've seen it too many times. And that's why I'm starting the Poly Stories. It's a place where I'm going to interview different Polynesians to fully be able to express who they are. So that way it creates a platform for the people out there that I know that's going through something, that's not getting that emotional support from home, They can see these interviews and see that all these other Polynesians that are going through the same struggles that they're going through, and for some reason they get inspired because they see that these guys going through the same situation, talking about their life, but they see them voicing their opinion, expressing how they feel, and they understand how they feel because they're going through the same situation, and they also see that people in these interviews was able to find peace, happiness, and success in their life to inspire them that they have hope in their life, because that's the worst case. Because the worst thing that can happen to somebody that's suffering is when they lose hope. When they lose hope, then that's when life turns really, really upside down. It gets really dangerous for a person when they lose absolute hope in life that they can change their circumstances, that things will get better. So, so that I just wanted to make this video to express my viewpoint on that, to respond to everybody out there, to just commenting, to saying, why am I doing this? Why? This is not Tongan culture. This is not our culture. Our culture is perfect. Everybody, this is why I'm doing it. I'm not doing this. If you grew up Tongan, if you grew up Polynesian, and you grew up in the culture, and you lived a great life, and you had a great family, and your parents was always there for you. You had a great, your mom and dad treated all you guys the same. You guys, had food on the table, and you lived a very great life. God bless you. God bless you. And like I said, I have nothing to say about that. And like I said, God bless you, and you had a great life. But I want you guys to put in perspective to understand that, and also empathize that many people didn't grow up the way you did. There are a lot of people out there suffering that didn't grow up in a stable home, that didn't grow up with stable parents, that didn't grow up with parents that didn't love each other, that didn't grow up with parents that supported it and allowed them to grow, to allow them to to give them that love and appreciation that every single child needs, to support them emotionally, financially, physically, spiritually. To have that, have that love at home, to have that faith, at home, to build that faith in God and that stable, the faith, center their life around God. A lot of people don't have that. A lot of Polynesians don't have that, right? But what the problem is what I see with Polynesians is they use culture, as a way to justify a lot of things that's really hurting people, that's kind of hindering people from growing to be their best. Whenever something bad happens within the culture, they justify using the culture. Oh, just that's the culture, right? When we bully kids, we just just is the culture. This guy, boys will be boys, right? Man up, right? If you want to be a man, you gotta be able to handle those bullies, right? If you get beat up, girls get beat up. Hey, whatever the situation is, like they just use the culture as a way to justify the means, and for me. That's not acceptable. For me, that's not cool. And that's not fucking. I'm sorry. I was about to swear, but that's not. That's not what's up, right? That's not what's up. That's how. I just nah. I'm not. That's not how I see it. That's not a world I'm not gonna number one tolerate. That's not a world I'm not gonna live in, and for damn sure I'm not gonna a world I want my kids or my future kids or any other Polynesian coming after me to live in. And like I said, at some point as a culture, we have to break the cycle and create a better environment for kids. And like I said, and also people out there that are making comments as well. Like I said, they'll choose not to be empathetic. A lot of people out there will choose, just judging and criticizing what I'm trying to do here. All I can say is, you have your opinion, you have your criticism, you have your judgments, but you will never understand until it hits home, right? You will never understand until it happens to you. You'll never understand until it happens to somebody you love. You'll never understand until it happens to somebody that you care about, or it happens to your own son or daughter, right? You might not care about what I'm doing. You may not care about what I'm trying to achieve here. You think probably it's stupid and whatever your reasoning is. But I'm just saying is you might think that what I'm doing right now, but you will never understand mental health until it happens to you, until it happens to somebody you love. You will never understand sexual abuse, physical abuse until it happens to you. Until it happens to somebody you love. You will never understand suicide until it happens to you. You can't happen to you until it happens to somebody you love, right? All these issues I'm trying to figure out, and that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. So yeah, for everybody out there, I just want to make this quick video, kind of respond to everybody's comments of why I'm doing this, but this is why I'm doing. I want to interview as many Polynesians as I can to share the story, to understand that no matter who you are, where you come from, even though we're all Polynesian, even though we all grew up, we all go to church, right? These are we all grew up Polynesian, we all eat the same foods, right? We all grew up in pretty much the same friends, the same circle of friends, the same morals and values and principles, that we grew up in the Tongan community, the Tongan culture, right? But the thing is, we all grew up in a different way, and we all grew up with different experiences, and we need to figure out like I said, the root to a problem where we can make sure that nobody has to go through the same things that we're going through, so that way they can live a better life. And that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. So, but anyways, yeah, that's my thoughts for the day. Just want to share that with you guys. Like I said, anybody out there that wants to share their story as well, if you guys want it, anybody out there that lives in the Bay Area, California, if you guys want to share your stories, please reach out to me. I would love to interview you, and for you to be able to express yourself and share your story, so that way you can only heal yourself and help other people as well. And like I said, in my last vlog I made the other day, there's a power to your story. Right? Everybody out there that's listening, you have a power to your story, and there's to able not only to help yourself but to help the people around you. And you may think that your life is worthless. You may think that your life you're nobody, and you're just you don't mean anything to this world. I'm telling you, everybody means, there's always somebody that you always everybody means is a somebody. Everybody is a somebody to someone, right? Everybody is a somebody to someone, right? And you just don't know it. There's people out there right now looking at you, watching you, right? You have siblings, you have cousins, you have people that rely on you. They're looking at you, and based on how you live your life, it's going to affect how they live their life. And that's why I'm doing this, because if we can just inspire as many Polynesians as can to be able to come out and be proud of their story, and love their story, and be willing to, not be afraid no more, hide no more, live in fear and live in misery, but be willing to finally work on themselves and work on the things to start the healing process. If we can do that, then I think that's when we can start making changes within people. But I know we can't do it by ourselves. We have to do it as a community. And that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. That's why I'm doing the Kava Club podcast. And that's why I'm doing the Poly story. So if you need anybody out there that's willing to share the story, please reach out. I would love to work with you. I would love for you to guys come out and do an interview with me. And especially if you live in the Bay Area. So like I said, if you love my content, please, please like my content. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Please follow me on all social media platforms, on Snapchat, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn. I'm on all social media platforms. If you have any questions, please drop a comment below. Also, if you have a personal question, you can DM me on all social media platforms. I would love to respond and then understand your thoughts and have a quick dialogue, have one-on-one conversation, certain topics with you guys. If you have any ideas of certain things I want to talk about in my next video, please let me know. But if you love if I added value to your life, please, I would love to share this with your family and friends, and let's spread the love and positivity. And let's make let's change one life in the world, one person at a time. So I love you guys. Let's walk by faith, not by sight. Let's spread the love and positivity. Say bless. Peace.